Tell me that exact moment when you knew that John Bishop's story was one that you were going to live with for a while and one to tell.
Well, I remember him telling me the initial his story of how he became a stand-up and just being sort of mesmerized by all the pieces of it, and but really it was him talking about how much it changed him. It allowed him to going up on stage allowed him to kind of speak his truth, if you will, in a way that he hadn't before. That really got me, and I think it was. I met him, and then a few months later we met up again, and I was sort of asking him if he'd be okay if we wrote a film kind of based on or inspired by his story. And I told him we were going to change it and, some aspects of it. But I think sitting with him and him talking about that transformation that he had as a person, that was the moment.
I love the stand-up scenes because you have to calibrate those so carefully because in the beginning, anyway, you do see a progression in the stand-up. But at the beginning, it can't be too polished. It has to be a little rougher than the other people because we see a fair amount of other stand-up in the film.
Yeah.
Tell me about writing that material and figuring out how to make it seem like he was just a dude who was trying to work things out on stage.
Yeah, it was a narrow target, to have the first time, the first time he gets on stage, where he hears his name called, and he goes down, and he's standing there, and there's a microphone, and what's he going to say? What would this guy say in that moment? And then we sort of would track all the different stand-up sets that he does through the film, and luckily we were able to go. I started going up and doing open mics and doing stand-up at the Comedy Cellar in New York every night for 6 weeks, just going in, and then during the day we would work on that and calibrate and figure out. And even having done all that, there were moments we shot stuff. There were a few moments in Alex's first set that we shot that in post we realized we have to take that beat out. That joke's too good.
It's too slick.
Yeah, and by the way, not a fantastic joke by any means. But even that, we were like, he might not have been able to put that joke together so early on, and so we had to kind of be really careful about that.
Tell a joke.
I think I'm getting a divorce. What tipped me off was that I'm living in an apartment on my own. Yeah. And my wife and kids don't live there. That was probably the biggest clue.
I think people will be surprised to learn that you've never done stand-up
Yeah.
before this. Tell me about what it's like to do a set at the Comedy Cellar, absolutely kill the room, and then you go do another set somewhere else that night with the same material, and people stare at you like you have two heads and don't laugh.
We had so many instances where, so we had a night where we went and I went on and we did a set, and it was kind of a mix of some of the stuff we were doing from the film, and sometimes we'd try out other stuff sometimes just so you could make the audience laugh. And I remember one night in particular, went down, killed in the main room at the Cellar, and Liz, the manager who plays herself in the film, she's really the manager. We came upstairs and she said, "Oh, if you want to go around the corner, you can go up in 5 minutes." So we come upstairs thinking like, "Oh, we just killed. This is great. We're gonna and go around the corner." I'm not joking. 5 minutes later, to just absolute silence, and the only laughter I can hear is in the back, Bradley. He's just, dying, and I'm dying on stage, and it's very, very humbling for sure.
This is an intimate film from the way it's shot, from the ground that it covers. It's a personal film. I think Bradley Cooper's dogs are in it, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Two of his dogs.
And I wonder if part of the reason that you were drawn to this story is from your experience at the Tarragon Theater and the Maggie Bassett group, because you were working some stuff out on stage and you figured out that that was an outlet just like John Bishop did.
That's not a bad point. You know, I think that there are always those moments as, you know, as a performer where you go out and you find yourself, there is often a sort of a real cathartic element to any art. And certainly as a young man, going to Maggie Bassett and Tarragon Theater and taking classes there and, you know, working with, I was 16 and most of my, you know, contemporaries, if you will, they were not my contemporaries, they were adults. And, but I found a place where I could kind of go and do that stuff and really feel like I was trying to find my voice. I don't know if I actually found it, but I could see like a path to finding my voice. Strangely enough for me, the process that Alex goes through in the film with stand-up and this kind of, we keep calling it a midlife catharsis. I ended up experiencing that myself going through the film. Not necessarily with this stand-up, but all the stuff in between, all the, you know, shooting the film and going through and shooting all those scenes for me was a real process of kind of doing something I had always wanted to do, but had never been given the opportunity to do. Yeah.
Well, you're great in the film. Thanks so much for spending the time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So let's put your hands together for Alex Novak.